What's up, everybody? You are listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion. I am your host, Dapper Data. I have a very special guest on here today. All right, and we've talked about we have delved deep into data science, right? We talked about all these algorithms, all that stuff, but then we've also tapped into a lot of professions, right? We talked about marketing a little bit. We talked about digital marketing a little bit, but I have an expert here that's going to dive deeper into that, right? We talked about hospitals, all that good stuff, but now it's time to figure out how to increase that revenue, right, from a marketing standpoint, and how to use data to back that and support that. So I'm excited to bring on special guest Hernan. Say what's up to everybody, Hernan.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Really excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So when we talk about digital marketing, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, it helps brands reach their target audience for sure, and it promotes their product or their service. I mean, I have been trying to get this marketing thing down packed. I promise you, Hernan. I mean, since like 2019, right? And we're 2023 yet now, and I'm still trying to figure this thing out, right? Because
Right.
it takes you if you have a profession that's not in marketing and you're trying to market your stuff, you you really need a whole nother person to really help you out with that, for
Yeah.
sure, right?
Totally. Totally.
So Hernan, the background on Hernan is very, very deep, very much of an expertise from a marketing standpoint. And he is an entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 13 years of experience in creating advertising and marketing campaigns that focus on bringing clients and students more clients, right? And so it's exciting to bring you on. Thank you again. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Renee.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for the introduction, and I'm really excited to be here. And I totally see where you're going and see where you're at because, usually we have a lot of people coming in to our own business because they have a good product or they have a good service or they know that they could
Hmm.
impact a lot of lives and a lot of they could do a lot of good, but they don't know how to get the message, get the word out there, get people coming in, get revenue
Right.
coming in. And yeah, I'm a big data fan myself. We're always in dashboards, creating dashboard for clients, creating visibility. We're always like geeking out on
Hmm.
data for clients and for ourselves. So yeah, so super excited to be here. And data has been, I think, a game changer. Once you understand what you really need to pay attention to when it comes to marketing, everything changes, right? Like,
Right.
because like there could be, or there can be, and there is a lot of confusion when it comes to what should I pay attention to, right? Should I pay attention to what my reach is on a post, right? Or how many
Hmm.
followers I have, or what's my open rate on emails? Like, there's so many data points that you can get when it comes to a marketing strategy, and that could be really confusing, especially for entrepreneurs wanting to market themselves, especially when you're trying to get help. You want to be on the same page when it comes to the help that you're bringing in, whether it is hiring a marketing person or a digital marketing agency to come in and help you, right? You want to be prepared and with the tools, even if you're not an expert, to have a conversation with these people and understand that their efforts are going to be aligned to your goals, which is growing your business, getting more clients, more revenue, getting the word out there, versus some other data points or some other metrics that sometimes people track or sometimes people pay attention to, which might not move the needle, right? Like, you cannot go out
Right.
there and
Right.
and deposit followers in your bank account. You can't. So that's something that people want to, that a lot of people get. I think that they get like confused with, and some people, they might end up wasting money or investing money and effort and time into metrics and things that don't really matter. They don't move the needle. So I'm excited to kind of go through the methodology that we use to understand which metrics are the ones that you want to pay attention to if you want to have a successful digital marketing campaign.
No, that's awesome, man. You just hit so many points right there. I mean, this could be like a whole course, or I'm sure you have a course out there, where you do things that, and it's interesting that one of the things that I took from that conversation just then was that entrepreneurs, they tend to, I mean, I look at from experience, right? I tend to look at, and I'm a data scientist. I tend to look at like all the data, right? And I get overwhelmed, right? From marketing standpoint, I started digging myself into this rabbit hole right? And I'm like, well, what is more important? Is it this? Is it that? If I'm trying to do ads, right? What's more important for the ads, right? If I'm trying to look at website stuff, traffic, what's more important? I don't know, right? And I guess you're right. Like you have to guide them in that certain direction to is really what's your end goal, right? Is it to get more followers? Then let's talk about how we can do that. Maybe if it's to see, how many shirts am I selling on my website? I don't know. Maybe that's a whole nother beast right there. Then
Right.
ads, right? Your target audience, all that stuff. I tend to, for those things that I don't understand, what I tend to do is look for, I tend to look for Google, right, to give me the answers, right, and then it gives me an overwhelm. It's like WebMD, all right, it just
Right.
gives me everything and anything, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, and I just make a judgment call at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you hit everything spot on with the entrepreneur that really needs your help out there. So
Right.
you have a company, right? Well, first I want to back up, right? Because looking at your history, looking at your background, you have covered some pretty strong organizations, some pretty
Mm.
strong people, individuals, companies, things like that. What has been? I mean, you got Russell Brunson, you have Tony Robbins. I mean, I read the Tony Robbins book, right? So I'm really big on finance and trying to make sure that the family is great from a financial standpoint. From a
Mhm.
marketing point of view, what would you say was like the most awesome, if you could talk about it, awesome client that you dealt with a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I've had really a lot of awesome clients, and what I like about marketing in general is that it always keeps you on your toes, right? Always need to be learning, and you always need to be adapting, and you always need to be evolving. So each client has been kind of a different experience, right, based on their needs and based on what they needed to do. But for instance, some really good campaigns and really good experiences that I had is, I cut my teeth in Fiverr.com.
Mhm,
Fiverr.com
mhm.
10 years ago was not the Fiverr.com that we all know about today.
Oh,
Fiverr.com,
it is
yeah,
just come out of nowhere, right? And poof.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then it's like you went there to get something scrappy done for $5, or it was a
Yeah.
rough bunch, and we were there. So that's where I started. That's what that was the first time that a stranger over the internet gave me money for something, right?
Mm,
And I was writing articles on Fiverr.com, and I started kind of documenting my journey and my processes and everything that I learned. And of course, people will try to reach outside of Fiverr.com if you give them a good service and whatnot, and they try to hire you. And I've
mhm,
always had this kind of approach which is like, say yes and figure it out later, right? Which is like, hey, can you
mhm.
do this for us? And I would say, yes, of course, right? And then I turn around and try to figure that out. But anyways, like, I've always been out there putting out content and putting out, trying to put out as much goodwill as possible in the marketplace. And at some point, I caught the eye of Frank Kern and Frank Kern team. So Frank Kern is one of the godfathers of digital marketing, and I don't have like any posters of any band or any movie posters. I always had marketing books and business books
Mhm.
and whatnot. And Frank was one of my heroes. So his team reached out to see if I wanted to come work with them because I was being so helpful on Facebook groups and some forums and whatnot.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then I remember that was a great experience, and I ended up being Frank Kern's CMO for 3.5 years. He's main marketing
Oh,
guy and training everyone on all of his clients on Facebook and marketing and whatnot. So that was a great experience. But we were really data driven back there. Like Frank was a data geek. He would
mhm.
eat data. He would like go through all of the data that we had collected, and then we will come up with strategies to get better customers and more results and whatnot, both for him and his clients. And
Mhm.
that's when I realized the importance of data and understanding, the one or two most important metrics that have to do with digital marketing, especially since we were advertising. We were advertising a lot, and then we needed to have a positive ROI, a positive return on that investment. And I realized that just by paying attention to just a handful of good metrics, then you can scale an advertising campaign, you can scale the brand. So that, I think that was one of my first like big experiences that really changed my mind, working with some of these big names. And then I was always trying to to get close to these big names and working with people
Mhm.
that we're in the place that I want to be. And it was always being helpful, putting stuff out there, putting good information out there, and trying to network, mastermind. Putting yourself in the right room with the right people. I think that made a lot of difference. So
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. So it's almost like a marketing guru hired a marketing person, right?
yeah,
Is
for
that
sure, and that
yeah?
happens a lot. Yeah, that happens a
And
lot.
I never thought about that. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it does take away. They're trying to run a business, at the end of the day, and so they have to run the business. And so no matter what, they still need somebody to kind of think like them and be the marketing expert, and then give that
Yeah.
individual the keys to the kingdom kind of thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, for sure.
okay, all right. So look, so you are founder
Hmm.
of Scale Driven,
Hmm.
right? And that's amazing because when you look at the website, you think about what Scale Driven is, right? You said on the website that you help online product creators, software companies, and coaches and consultants develop high-level marketing strategies that generate revenue at scale. And that means a lot, right? If people really pay attention to every one of those key words in there, right, it means so much, right, as far as capturing the audience. It's almost like you are marketing to us, right? In
Right.
a sense, right? And
Yeah.
it's amazing. So when you go through that process of that high-level marketing strategy, within Skill Driven, what are some of the steps that you're taking? Are you defining the target audience, right?
Mhm.
Conducting competitive analysis, is it all of the above, right? What talk to us about scale driven and what you're doing there.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So when a client comes to us, yes, we ask all of the run of the mill questions like, who's your target audience, who you want to who you want to attract with your product, with your service. But I think that we also ask a lot of questions that have to do with what are your goals with the company, right?
Hmm.
What are your, where you want to be revenue wise? Like, what is a customer worth to you? I think that that's one of the key data points that you want to have when it comes to scaling a marketing campaign or an advertising campaign is the lifetime value of a customer, right? Like,
Hmm.
how much is a customer worth to you? How
From a
much is
financial standpoint, sorry, cut you off. Like you mean from a financial standpoint or like
yes.
value? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
from a financial standpoint, over, let's say, over the lifetime of a customer, how much are they going to spend with you, right? And
Hmm.
ideally, I like to think as customers like as investment vehicles, or let's say little houses, So
Hmm.
ideally, you will buy a house today because you want it to appreciate, and you want to increase the value of that house throughout time, right? So that's the
Right.
idea. When you're out there advertising, you're also acquiring customers. You're paying to acquire a new customer and bring them into your ecosystem. And if you're doing things right, then the value of that customer will grow through time, right?
Hmm.
So you have the value of a customer usually is divided in segments or in times, right? It's like at the time of the transaction, at the point of transaction, how much money people are giving you, right? Like the
Hmm.
initial transaction, whenever they give you the first amount of money, how much that is. And
Hmm.
then through, let's say, back-end promotions or some other offers, some back-end offers and all that, you can increase that lifetime value, let's say, over the next 30, 60, 90, 180 days, 365 days. So that's the first point of data that you wanna have in mind. And that is something that we help our clients do. It's like we help them acquire more customers, but we also help them increase the value of each customer that comes through the door, right? Because if you think about it, the other metric that we help them figure out, if they don't have it figured out, is how much are they currently paying to acquire a customer. So you have
Hmm.
the cost, what's called CAC, or cost to acquire a customer, also known as CPA, which is called cost per acquisition, right? So that's the
Hmm.
first metric. And then the other metric, it's the average order value or the lifetime value of a customer and whatnot. And the higher the gap between these two, meaning the lower your cost to acquire a customer and the higher the lifetime value of a customer, then in the middle is your profit, your profitability, right?
Hmm.
So the more you can widen this gap, the more profitable you will be. And in turn, you can spend more money to acquire more customers, because at the end of the day, you're able to increase the lifetime value of a customer. I remember that I was working with this client. I was their marketing director, and
Hmm.
they grew a lot during the pandemic. So
Hmm.
they kind of rode that wave. That was one of the businesses that grew and blew up during the pandemic. They went from zero to $100 million in valuation in 3 years, because they
Man.
rode that wave. So it was really big. We started with a small team, and at the end, when I left, it was like 150 people, something like that. And the reason why they were able to grow that fast is because they understood these two metrics. They understood how much they were paying to acquire a customer through advertising, and how much a customer will be worth to them over the next 30, 60, 90 days, right? And they were making, at some point, we were spending around $1.5 million a month on advertising for this customer, and they were making 3 to 5x that money over the next 90 days because of this process that they had. So if you pay attention to those two metrics, you can have a really successful, really successful business. And most of the guys that I work with that are spending a lot of money, like Grant Cardone, I was marketing director for Grant Cardone. I advise Tony Robbins' team and whatnot. They always have these two metrics in mind: is how much are we paying to acquire a customer through advertising, and how much that customer is worth to us over the long run. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
part of the process that we do when somebody comes to Scale Driven. We help them figure out those two metrics, and that allows us to scale.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of generated so many questions, honestly, Hernan. I, I mean, we're not going to dive too deep into it, but I have two questions that just came to mind, right, based off of what you're doing there, skill driven. You know, that gap that you talked about, right? Is it a time where the gap is too close, or when you're going through this conversation, right, from a marketing standpoint, where you say, look, I don't want to, you're not ready for me. I can't sign you on right now. These are the steps that you need to do to
Mhm.
get to this part prior, and then it's okay, right? Because there's no burn bridges or anything. It's just saying, hey, you're kind of jumping the gun, right? You need to handle these things first.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great question. And sometimes we do that. Usually, what happens is that at Scale Driven, we take clients that have traction, and by traction, I mean they might have a proven offer. People are
Hmm.
already giving them money for what they offer, whether it is a product or a
Uh,
service and whatnot. So they're getting some traction already, right? Like they get money from the audience, whether it is a lot of a little. Maybe some people are either hustling, or they're getting referrals, or they
mhm.
get a lot of social connections and whatnot, or they're in events or in conferences and whatnot. They're networking. They're getting money that way. And we get a decent amount of people that are good at that, but now they want to scale. Now they know they have something that's working, and now they want to put it on autopilot, or they want to generate and build the machine, right? They want to build
Right.
the engine to get those people coming in every single day. So that's what we help them do. And we can take people that are at that level, but they want more. Usually, when there's like, to answer your question, when there's like the gap is too small, right? The cost to acquire a customer is kind of the same as the cost to as what the lifetime value is. I think that's a great position to be in, because
Mhm.
if you think about it, there's only upside, right? There's only
Right.
upside out there. You can have more products, you can have more services, you can have upsells and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I really like that, because there are some funnels out there. There's some marketing funnels, specifically when it comes to book funnels or low ticket items. You might have seen, right now everything is about AI, ChatGPT, and whatnot.
Right.
And maybe I was scrolling earlier today on Facebook or Instagram, and this product that was like 17 ChatGPT prompts for marketers or something like that, right? And they were selling it
Mhm.
for like $10. And usually those funnels, they're not making any money. Like, you are basically paying, you're recouping your investment, and you're liquidating the ad cost, because let's say that you're paying $20 to acquire a customer, and they're
Mhm.
selling a $20 product, right? So it's a wash, you break even. But
Right.
the main point, and what most people are doing, that, Russell Brunson did it with all of his books. Grant Cardone does it with all of his books. We also did this for Frank Kern as well. Tony Robbins does it with all of his books. Any big name out there, they do it with their books. Is they're trying to acquire customers at a break even or better position. That means that they're trying to liquidate that ad cost as fast as possible, because they have a lot of
Mm.
other stuff that they're going to offer to them, on the back end with their sales team or with emails and whatnot. So the point here, and the goal, and the goal of the game is, there's a saying by Dan Kennedy that he says, the person or the business that can spend the most money to acquire a customer wins, right? So
Mhm.
he who can spend the most money to acquire a customer wins. And I think that's true. And I think that even if you're really close when it comes to, your profitability, that's a good position to be in because you can advertise, you can get free buyers, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
free leads, somebody that opted in for a lead magnet or somebody, but free buyers, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you can call them and offer them something else. The problem is when you don't have anything else to offer, right? Or when you don't have that back end developed, which we generally help our clients develop that back end as well with scale driven. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's amazing. It actually takes me to my next question because, um, having the funding, right, from a marketing standpoint seems to be very important. I looked at like Starbucks one time, and they spend a ridiculous amount of money, right? In my eyes, it's ridiculous, right? But I mean, look at them; they're a chain, right? They're all across the world, and it makes sense, right? But they also make a lot of money, right? So they're definitely not just breaking even; they're making profit,
yeah.
right now, probably everywhere. And organic reach, right, versus spending the money and things like that, standpoint, you know, is that something that you believe in really trying to go for organic reach first, and foremost, or is that something where you say, look, we're going to parallel it, do parallelism or something like that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that when you're starting out, when you're just starting out, when you're not making a lot of revenue from your business, I think that organic is the way to go because you're always paying for your traffic. There's no such thing as
Hmm.
free traffic. You're either paying with your time or with money, right? So you're either paying with your time, posting on social media or uploading content or trying to rank on Google. You're always paying with your time.
Hmm.
Um, I like advertising because it accelerates everything, right? With a little bit of money. But at some point, most of our clients come to us when they have some traction. That means that they might have a community of people, they might have social media following, they might have a small list, and they want to take it to the next level. I really like to combine both. I really, really like to
Oh,
combine both. And
okay.
there's some really, I would say, low investment strategies that you can implement, to actually, you can do this with $5 a day or $3 a
Mhm.
day or something like that, that will get you a lot more mileage for your social media efforts.
Mhm.
Something that we do for clients, we do for every client is we help them create like short, helpful videos, which are usually between 1 to 2 minutes long. And these videos, they are posted on social media. They're posted on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, and sometimes on TikTok. And then we push a little bit of money. We put a little bit of money behind these videos, right?
Mhm.
And the reason why we do that is because that allows us to accelerate that process, but also we can reach their ideal audience with this content and whatnot. And then what we
Mhm.
do is for everyone that watches 95 to 100% of those videos, then we show them offers, then we show them a lead magnet, then we show them a low ticket product, or maybe we show them a presentation that they did and whatnot. And this
Mhm.
like two-step approach is really inexpensive. Again, you can do it with $5 a day. You can start there, and you can actually start pushing out your content, and that will accelerate your organic growth
Mhm.
exponentially, because you're putting a little bit of money behind your content. So I'm a big fan of using both, but initially you can go with organic and then launch the advertising machine.
Yeah, those are great points, and it just helped me realize that organic reach doesn't mean you're not using money, right? And that's why I guess there's a mislead there sometimes because I've talked to people that are in my field and say, man, I just want to I want to build a tech company. I'm building this tech company. I want to market it. But I want organic reach. I don't want to spend money. But you can spend money and still get organic reach. In a
Yes.
sense.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's good. That's good knowledge for the audience and stuff. So when I think about a data-driven approach, right, I do think about how it gives you the tools to better understand, verify and quantify the results of your decision at the end of the day. And in the data-driven world, right, an organization specifically, you can be more confident about the choices you make. So it supports backs the choices you make. Right? I chose this ad to do, and I know the data is showing me that I did what I needed to do. I made the right decision,
Right.
and you can steer your organization towards success based on the facts, right?
Mhm.
Not an opinion of something. So
Right.
that's why I love data so much. When you think about, the why data-driven mechanism equals success, in your opinion, what does that mean to you? Why does data-driven equal success?
Because data doesn't lie. I
Yeah.
always say that. Like, let's take a look at the data. Let's see what the data says. And even like
Hmm.
sometimes, but we have clients that come to us and they have this idea and they have this opinion, and then we have our opinion and we have our way of doing things and we have our experience and whatnot. But that's why I think that data is so important, because data doesn't lie. It's like, okay, let's try these two things, right? Let's try your approach and let's try our approach, and let's
Hmm.
see which one wins. At the end of the day, data is agnostic, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like,
Right.
whoever brought the higher return on the investment, or whoever brought the larger amount of leads, or whoever it's the most effective, that's what we're going to go after, right? So
Right.
for me, what's really humbling about marketing, especially from a data perspective, is that it doesn't matter how much experience you have. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm wrong almost always. Some things that I know for a fact that they're gonna work, they end up flopping real bad, and some things that I'm like, nah, that's never gonna work, they end up working, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of the culture and the approach that I try to, instill on the team at scale-driven.com, and the people that we work with and our students that we coach and whatnot. It's like, everything is a test. At the end of the day, everything is a test. You want to test, you want to collect data, because data doesn't lie. It's really humbling. And you would rather be, or at least I would rather be successful than right? I would rather
Right.
be
Right.
successful or make money or help my clients than be right. So I think that's why I love data, especially when it comes to marketing, especially when it comes to making decisions. So
No, that's a great point. It's okay to be wrong and it's okay to be right throughout it, but you're still learning, and that's how you're collecting the data, right? In a sense,
yeah.
so that's amazing. So what data? Let's dive into it, right? I don't want to steal all your stuff from your company, right? But you got to give us some tips, right?
Yeah.
You got to start us off with something. So if you were sitting there and you're saying what marketing data is probably the most important, right? You go
Mhm.
into an organization, you see them, right? You got customer, you got finance, you got operation. I don't know, right? Maybe maybe it depends. I don't know. What in your opinion is the most important marketing data you need to collect?
That's actually a really good question, because I think that when you create, we try to give our clients a lot of visibility as to what's going on, right? We put
Hmm.
together dashboards for them and whatnot, and you know how it is. Like, there will be some conflicting data. Like, there will be some stuff, and even in the if you ever run ads on Facebook or Google, whatever, um, you will find that some metrics are saying one things and some metrics are saying some other things, and should
Hmm.
I keep this running, should I stop this, like, what do I do? And I really like to have, again, as I mentioned before, something that I call a North Star metric, right? Like,
Hmm.
if this metric is within our parameters, if this metric is within our KPIs, right? If this metric is like, it's green, then we keep
Hmm.
on scaling, we keep on spending, we keep on investing money. If this
Hmm.
metric is not in the green, it's not what we want to do, then we stop, right? So we try to keep it super simple in a complex world. And again, I think that the number one metric that we do pay attention to is that gap. What is the
Hmm.
difference between the cost to acquire a customer on advertising versus the lifetime value of a customer, right? And when you
Right.
think about it, the cost to acquire a customer will always have a floor, right? Because when you are out there, when you're advertising, when you're pushing your content out there, you're also competing against other, millions of other people. You're competing against brands with big pockets. You're competing against starting entrepreneurs. You're competing against everyone that wants the attention of your ideal target person, right?
Right.
It's not just that you're competing against people that are competing with products and services that are similar to yours, but also you're competing against everyone else that's trying to promote something to that person. So cost to acquire customer will have a floor. There's a floor that this is what the marketplace is telling you that you are going to pay to acquire a customer, right?
Hmm.
But the lifetime value of a customer doesn't have a ceiling. So I see a lot of people struggling, especially when they're running ads, especially when they're new to this. It's like, oh, I want to lower my cost to acquire customers. I want to go ahead and lower. Facebook is too expensive for me. I'm paying too much per click. I'm paying too
Right.
much to get a lead and whatnot. And then it's a million times easier to
Hmm.
turn around and and try to increase your lifetime value of a customer, right? If you think about it, it's a million times easier to give that customer a good experience, to give them, give them to give you more, get them to give you more money, provided that you're giving them more value, right? It's so
Right.
much easier because you're only competing against yourself. You're only
Yeah.
competing again how good of products you have, how good of a service you offer, so people will trust you more and more, and they'll become better and better clients and customers for you. So I think that the gap, it's that it's like at some point you will hit a floor when it comes to acquiring customer. That's determined by offer and demand by the marketplace. But then the lifetime value of a customer, it's infinitely scalable. So I think that gap is the number one thing that we pay attention to, and how we can increase that gap through time, so that our customers and our clients at Scale Driven, they become more and more profitable, right? What other
Right.
services can we offer? What other things can we give value in exchange for for money? So I think that, because I can tell you, yeah, we take a look at cost per lead. Yes, we do take a look at
Mhm.
cost per lead. We take a look at how much they pay, let's say, to get someone on the phone. We do take a look at that, right?
Mhm.
But then it becomes a math game and a numbers game, right? It
Mhm.
becomes that how much money you want to pay to acquire a customer, how many calls you need to have in order to generate one customer, how many leads need to come through your funnel in order for you to generate one call. So it's, we work backwards. We work from the back to the front, starting with profitability all the way down to the cost per click. And then we know, okay, if we are tracking, if we are online with our goals. So but our North Star metric is always that gap. It's the return on the investment, it's the return on the ad spend, it's how much we can widen that gap so that our clients are making more money. So
Man, you just gave away all your stuff, man. Why you do that, man? No, I'm just messing with you. No, that's awesome, man. So I usually end with what I call a dope nugget or gem, right? Summarizing everything. But before that, right, something just came to mind. I thought uh, I need to ask this question to you really quick. All right, for any customer that's coming in to you right now,
mhm.
if there's something they can know, do they need to know their avatar, or is that something that you would help them out with?
We can help them out, but at the end of the day, a customer, a client, most of the people that I work with, they have a pretty good understanding of who their avatar
Right.
is. Like, who you want to work with, especially if you
Mhm.
if you've been this, if you've been in this for maybe a year or two and whatnot, you kind of know. Like, and most people, they don't give themselves enough credit as to their intuitive approach to, okay, this is the
Mhm.
people that I want to help, right?
Mhm.
Then you might have some findings and whatnot when it comes to advertising, because you're saying, oh, my target market is, you know, I don't know, women, stay-at-home moms, 35 to 45, right?
Right.
And that's cool. But maybe after running some ads, we can say, oh well, the segment that is 40 to 45 are the ones that are the most valuable to you. So why
Yeah.
don't we
Yeah.
spend more money there? But I think that most people have a clear understanding on who they wanna target. We just help them hone that in, right? And then with data, we come up and we say, oh well, these are interests that we tested and
Mhm.
they're working. Do you want to go after them and whatnot? So yeah, so that's the answer to the question. So
Man, that's a good point. So don't come in there green, all right, audience, right? Make sure you go in there, know a little bit about your stuff, having some traction, things like that. All right. So what I have learned from this conversation, and I'll let you chime in for sure, but one thing you mentioned, you're only competing against yourself, right? And I like that because a lot of times we sit there and we're saying we got these 10 competitors, right? But we never include ourselves. And it almost makes us say we want to be like them or we want to be better than them. But there's a market out there for you, right? You still can get money, they can get money, everybody can get money, and it's okay. And that one of the most important metrics to capture is that cost to acquire the customer and then the lifetime of the customer as well. And then accepting that you will make both good and bad marketing decisions and it's
mm,
okay, right? Like I love that because a lot of times, right, we're scared, right? But you have to jump out there and you have to be okay with that because that's how you collect the data. You'll never
mhm,
know if you're doing good or bad marketing if you're not marketing at all, right? You're
yeah.
just sitting still. So
Mm.
is there anything that you want to leave the audience with?
I think that the last point that you made, it's great because this
Mm.
applies to life. I think that there's a big like um, resemblance, as to how you approach your marketing, how you approach your business, as to how you approach to life, right? It's like,
Hmm.
and I think it was the more you fail forward, or the more you fail, try to fail forward, but the more you fail, the more data you collect, right?
Yeah.
And if you approach everything as a test or as an experiment, okay, today I'm going to experiment launching these ads, or today I'm going to experiment with this post, or today I'm
Hmm.
going to experiment with this offer. If you approach everything as an experiment, you become a data scientist of your own business, right?
Hmm.
And then you can go ahead and you will find that success. I think that people are too afraid of failure, and the biggest entrepreneurs, the people that are the most successful that I've ever worked with, they embrace failure because they know that you need to go through a lot of failures before you find a success, right? That's part of the
Right.
process. So they get excited to test, and we get excited to test. We fail a lot, like a
Yeah.
lot, a lot, a lot. But you only need to have a couple winners, right? And that
Yeah.
applies to marketing, to entrepreneurship, and to life. So yeah, so get out there and start collecting data. So
Yeah, yeah. Collect that data, man. Don't
mhm.
look at the spelling. Collect the data. That's what you
Yeah,
look at. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's have a little bit of fun.
Mhm.
All right. At the end of the show, the audience knows I like to play a game called Overrated, Underrated. And this game allows us, right? I give props to Gary Vee because that's the motivational speaker that I follow that actually gave me the idea. But the game allows the audience to know that we have opinions about other things than marketing, right? And digital marketing and data science, right? We geek it out, right? That might be 99% of our time, but that 1%, we do have opinions about these things. We experience other stuff, right, in life. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, right, or throw out a series of topics, about 7 topics, and you get to decide whether you think it's overrated, underrated, or right where it needs to be.
Mhm.
Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, first one, apple pie.
Apple pie, underrated. I cannot have enough apple pie. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Matter of fact, it was some data behind apple pie that I saw. It was like the most taken off the shelf from like grocery stores and things like
Mhm.
that. And because it was asking like, what's the pie that was the most taken off the shelf? And it wasn't actually because of the taste or something like that. It was specifically because of the quantity somehow. I mean, the actual the size of the average apple pie that's delivered in the grocery store. So it wasn't.
Ah,
It was because people want family sizes, and that's the most that's offered for the family sizes versus anything. So it was interesting, but I would say it's just because it's good, right?
yeah, yeah. No, that's great, man. Yeah, I could go through an apple pie, family size apple pie on my own. So
All right, the printer.
the printer, um, huh? I don't know. I think I still need it. So I think it's
Hmm.
it's it's underrated at this point because we still need it. So
Yeah,
yeah. So
I don't use it, man. It almost gets annoying to me when somebody asks me to print something out sometimes.
right.
But I guess it is still needed. I just have trouble. As technical as I am, I have trouble with printers, man, sometimes, and I hate it. I'm
I
like,
think we
why is it not working? What
Yeah,
is
I think
going
we all I
on?
think we all do. It doesn't matter how good of a computer guy you are and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we all do. But I've been doing a lot of for some reason or another this past week. I've been doing a lot of going to post offices and doing some stuff and some errands and whatnot, and everything was on print. So
Yeah.
I had to dust off my printer, which I don't have it in here. I had to bring it from the other room, plug it in, and whatnot. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Beaches.
Beaches completely overrated.
Oh,
Completely.
really? What?
Yeah.
You go to Florida,
Yeah.
man? You out
Yeah.
there in South America now, man? Overrated. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, I love the mountain. I'm a mountain guy.
Uh-huh.
I'm a forest guy. And also like let me rephrase that. There are some beaches that are extremely beautiful and
Hmm.
extremely beautiful. But I grew up in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in South America, and we are really, really south. And as I was growing up, we were going to these beaches here in near Buenos Aires and whatnot, and they were cold and they were windy and whatnot. And then I went to
Oh,
Brazil,
yeah.
beaches that kind of completely changed my mind. But yeah, that's why I think that in my core they're overrated. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I can see how certain experiences throughout your life could could have kind of changed your mind with certain things, you know. So I can see that for sure. All right, we talked about this a little bit earlier. So Chat GBT.
ChatGPT, I think right now for many things it's overrated, but just give it, I don't know, 6 months, and it will completely change the game. I'm a big believer. We're using ChatGPT more and more and more, especially since ChatGPT 4 just came out like a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
So we're using it more and more and more. I like it, and but I think that right now, at this point, right? It's there's a lot of hype around it, and there's a lot of
Yeah,
FOMO around it, like Bitcoin or whatever a couple or years ago and whatnot. So I think that. It will become part of our day to day. It's
mm,
just that I think that you can do amazing stuff with it right now. I'm just really looking forward to see what it can do like 6 months or a year from now. So
yeah, man. Elon Musk just put out like this patent. I don't know. I mean, not patent, a petition. Like he was trying to stop
yeah,
people for 6 months at least, right, to stop using or trying to develop things that's bigger than ChatGPT or any type of AI stuff, right? Because he
yeah,
feels like, and I may agree that at one point we're not using any type of ethical mechanisms anymore, right? We're not caring about security of it. We're not caring about any of that. We're just developing it, right? These innovators are just so crazy with it now. They're just going crazy where they're like, it's so open, right? It's open AI. And so
mm,
they're able to do it so fast and they're
yeah,
creating it so fast and it's just going past our time and it's to the point where it's like the Michael Jordan of our era. So it's like it's just ahead of the game and they
mm,
said that eventually if it keeps doing that then we're going to be overpowered by these machines that are
mm.
doing that.
Yeah. There's a great post by Tim Urban on Wait by Why.
Mhm.
Wait by Why. It's a fantastic blog, and he has a post on AI. He has a post about how we develop our brains and whatnot, and then he has a post about AI. And the reality is that if it goes past like our level of our processing level, we won't even see it.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I,
So.
I need to access that. All
Yeah.
right. So two more, right? The electric vehicles. Let's talk about that.
Electric vehicles, I think they're underrated right now. I think that's the future. I
Mhm.
really think that's the future. I'm a big Elon fan, like in general. I'm a big Elon Musk fan in general. But I think that that's the future. I think that what they can do right now is pretty cool. But again, it's like Chat GPT. It's like we're in the dawn, of it. Yeah, it's like I think that more and more. Funny enough, the other day on TikTok, I saw an advertising, a Lamborghini ad. Crazy, never seen a Lamborghini ad before for their new hybrid. I think it's called. I'm not gonna remember the name, but I saw it and I'm like, well, this is first off TikTok. Second of all, ad from Lamborghini. Which
Right.
is crazy. So crazy for two, and then third, it was the new Lamborghini, which is a hybrid. So I think that we're just in the dawn of that technology, and
Mhm.
eventually everything will be electric. So
I agree. I agree, man. I actually started an electric vehicle company out in Ghana in Africa. And so we
mm,
do a pretty good job of it. It's like making a lot of profit now. We have electric vehicles being imported in there because they don't have it and it's saving a lot of it's increasing, jobs, right? Allowing people to be
that's so
drivers and
cool.
things like that. And I mean I'm all in, right, for the electric vehicle stuff, man. Being able to help out with the ecosystem as well. So it's really cool, man. All right, last one. Ice cream.
Ice cream, I think it's where it should be.
Where it
I
should
think,
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's where it should be. I love it. I really like
What's
it.
your
People
favorite?
love
What's
it.
your favorite?
Yeah. What's my favorite? It's dulce de leche. Dulce de
Dulce de
leche is,
leche?
yeah, it's from here. It's from Buenos Aires. I was born here and whatnot. It's kind of on the other side of the beaches that I mentioned, which are
Mhm.
overrated. Yeah, so my favorite it's definitely dulce de leche. Dulce de leche with
Oh
everything.
man.
Ice cream
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Yeah, mine is just butter pecan, man. I think I grew up on it. My mom and dad used to always give me butter pecan ice cream when they always had it in the freezer, and I would always
Mm.
go in and
Yeah,
just go
that's a
in,
good
and I
one.
still like it to
That's
this
a good
day,
one.
for
Yeah,
some reason.
for sure.
All right. Well, look, Hernan, thank you for being on the podcast. Audience, as well that I love you all. You have been listening to Data is My Science podcast, show to make data a passion. I'm your host, Dapper Data. Again, thank you, Hernan. Is there anything that you are promoting now? Anything that you want the audience to check out?
Yeah, if they go to scale-driven.com, they can check us out. My name everywhere, Hernan Vazquez on social. You can find me on YouTube and whatnot. We have an event coming up in Miami in August. It's going to be great, but we're going to add details to scale-driven.com. And yeah, that's it.
Great, great, man. Audience, you can reach me at Mr. Dapper Data on any one of the social media platforms. Definitely check me out. Check out my website, www.mrdapperdata.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube videos at www.youtube.com/Apper since I'm Dapper Data. All right, till next time, peace.